other favorite moment in the entire movie, Kyle.
Grandma becomes Grambo as later stated.
She comes bursting in holding the flintlock pistol and a mug full of like the booze in the other hand, and she yells at him,
I don't know who brought home the bacon, but I'm gonna fry it up in a pan.
Hello and welcome back to the 207th episode of Good Bad or Bad Bad, the show where we watch terrible movies and tell you if you should too. I'm your host, Mr. Brian Shilligo, joining you in this December, just before Christmas. We're doubling up back-to-back Christmas episodes because we were running a little late on the scheduling. So you're getting a double dose of Good Bad or Bad Bad right before the Christmas holiday.
Double holiday cheer.
Yes. And today, we're talking about a movie that Kyle picked. Just going to put that out there right now.
Brian had a thought. He was 100% right.
I may or may not have called it, but we are going to talk about it anyways, because I think there's stuff to talk about. And it's going to be me, spoilers, going to bat for this movie.
Oh, God.
Kind of, a little bit. The movie we're talking about today, Kyle, what is it?
Holiday in Handcuffs. It's
yes.
an ABC family film.
Is that
from
what it
the
is?
mid-2000s.
So it was actually, I mean, it's clearly made for TV because it has like the TV breaks in it.
Specifically,
Okay.
it says ABC film, but like,
right.
I guess there's like nothing too coarse in it, so you could be like, it's a kind of a family.
Oh, I didn't know if it was like Hallmark or it could have been any of those channels.
Who's who's of cast in it.
Does it? Well, I mean, other than our main cast, obviously, but I might have missed some of the
We
other.
have a Good Bad or Bad Bad alum in this film.
Do we?
The father.
Is he?
Timothy Bottoms.
That name doesn't mean anything to me.
The Neuralator. He's the main dude from the Force. Was it Strike or whatever the
Strike Force something?
Yeah. So you have Lynch was the main bad guy, right? When he used the Neuralator to melt people's brains. This was the guy who was the head
Kyle,
of
is this the movie we've done?
God.
Did they use the Neuralator on me, Kyle?
Yes, they used the Neuralator on you.
I do not remember this at all.
This is gonna be. I'll put in some clips.
Now that you mention it, he did look vaguely familiar to me. And now that you mention it, I was like, okay, I can kind of place his face
He's
in
also
one
been
of our
in
movies.
Like a ton of shit from like the 70s.
Right.
Even up till today.
Right. Well, so that's one of our supporting casts, but our main cast, my first note here is this is a 2006 film starring Melissa Joan Hart and Mario Lopez.
Yes.
It's almost a Dean Simber movie.
Yes.
It's art, Kyle. This is the funniest thing in the world. Katie was walking by and she looked over and she goes, "Oh, you guys are doing a Dean Cain movie?" And I was like, "No, it's Mario Lopez." But here's the thing. I nailed it because everybody for years has been like, "Did you mean to put Mario Lopez in your Dean Simber thing?"
Well, guess what?
And it just paid off.
What is that?
Anyway, that's like the slowest.
Dean Cain he didn't quite have the dimples.
Yeah, that's true. It's the slowest burn joke that I've been working on for years. It finally came to fruition like a decade later. Oh. Yes, but Mario Lopez is the other lead. This is the other thing that was crazy. And one of the reasons I was like, hey, are you sure this movie is going to be bad enough to do on the show when you sent it was, one, I had also looked at this movie before. I had it on a list of like, I think somebody had recommended it at one point. And I'd had it on a list, and I think I had clicked through it and been like, I don't know. But it's directed by Ron Underwood, which sounds like a fake director name. It sounds like a name somebody makes up when they don't want. But no, it's a real person. He directed City Slickers, and Kyle, he directed Tremors, the first Tremors movie. Damn. Like, that's
I love
a great
that movie.
Yes. Tremors is an incredible movie, and City Slickers is pretty. It's been a long time since I've seen City Slickers.
I guess if he was shooting a film out in the desert, everything would make sense.
What?
The City Slickers mostly take
Oh, yes. Right, yeah.
What are you doing? I got a goddamn plan!
Yeah, I thought you were talking in relation to this movie. I'm like, they're in a cabin in the woods.
I didn't know. Here's the thing. For the longest time, and they don't set up where this is at all.
Yeah, I don't
and then eventually you're like, they're in Madison, Wisconsin?
Oh, is that where they?
Yeah.
I never put that together where they were. Is that with like the final shot when they pull out? It's like Madison.
I thought they were in LA or San Francisco or whatever, and they drove out to like the Sierra Mountains.
Oh yeah, I assumed they were like in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah.
But no, they're in Wisconsin.
But they're in Wisconsin because there's a part where she goes to the police to try and save Mario Lopez, and it literally says Madison, Wisconsin Police Department up there.
Fair enough. I missed it. Great director. Well, I say great director. Directed a great movie at least once. So this movie, though, starts in media res. We pick up with Mario Lopez walking down the street freezing, and Melissa Joan Hart drives up in her car with crazy hair. She has crazy, insane hair in the opening of this movie, and we'll get into why shortly. But she's like, come on, get in the car. And he's like, no. And we don't know what's going on here yet. I mean, if you've watched the trailer or know anything about the premise of the movie, you do.
The premise was kind of the reason that I picked this one, because the premise is insane.
It is utterly insane. And we'll get to that here in just a second. But she's like, come on, get in the car. And he's like, oh, fine, or whatever. And then we cut back to like a couple days before what we just watched. And we are watching Melissa Joan Hart. She's like going to an interview or getting ready to go to an interview. And she's on the phone with her mom. And she's talking to her mom about they're going to the cabin for Christmas for like the weekend or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is like, because this came out in 2006 and they're all using flip phones. I'm like, this is like literally the last year before iPhones took over everything. Like it was like the year before. So everything was still flip phones. But so she as the scene starts, and this is one of maybe the worst thing in the movie was this moment to me, because it makes no sense, Kyle. She's putting her hair in like rollers, or she has her hair in rollers, and she puts like a hair net thingy on.
Doing a perm.
Like a perm basically. And then her mom calls, and she is talking to her mom about like the plan and stuff, or like what they're doing for Christmas. She's on her phone with her mom for like a minute or two. At the end of the call, her mom says,
"Be sure to do something with your hair." Oh my God. Oh no!
Be sure to do something with your hair. And she goes, oh no! And starts freaking out. And like, runs into the bathroom and like, but she had just started doing the thing with her hair. It apparently whatever the thing was had a if she didn't get it out of her hair within like 30 seconds, would it
over frizz?
Fighting the Frizzies at 11.
Apparently,
are we fighting the Frizzies at 11?
Apparently,
that's a Brian doesn't know.
No, I have no idea what this. What is that?
Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, I have actually seen the Star Wars Holiday Special.
The local commercials that are in the bootleg, which is like I think it's somewhere in Colorado.
Yeah, I think I watched the actual one.
Yeah, the local news stingers are like fighting the Frizzies at 11.
Amazing. That's like a news thing.
Yeah.
What a hard-hitting news they got going on over there and wherever that was aired.
And now, fighting the Frizzies.
But she's like, and so she freaks out, and this like ruins her hair. But I'm like, what were you doing that the 30 seconds you were on the phone with your mom caused your hair to be ruined?
Because it has movie logic. Time begins and ends and moves forward when it needs to.
But here's the thing. Other than that, other than the main conceit, the movie, I think, actually works fairly well and makes a fair amount of sense. And people actually somewhat behave reasonably after the main thing happens.
Yes. I mean, you could still argue Stockholm Syndrome, but...
This woman held me at gunpoint, kidnapped me, and brought me to this house as her hostage.
But anyways, so she starts freaking out because her hair's all messed up. And then she goes to the job interview. She might have already been to the job interview and failed at this point. I can't remember. But they like don't let her go to do the interview for some reason. Is she late? I can't remember. Yeah.
You're late.
I know. I'm sorry.
He can't see you now.
So she fails that her dad hooked her up with some guy he knows or whatever. So she misses his job interview. So she goes to her job that she has, which she works at a diner owned by an Indian guy, but it's not Indian food. It's like an American diner, but they have like all Indian decorations and everything on the wall. And she works at this diner with her friend. And she's explaining that, that she's talking about how, we're going for Christmas this weekend, and Nick's coming. Nick is her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I still have one more chance for survival. Nick's coming with me.
He's like, Nick's going to meet my family for the first time. And they're like, ooh, that's a big deal. And then Nick strolls in. And is just the biggest asshole in the world.
Absolutely.
He strolls in and is like,
whoa, aren't you a hot mess?
I don't think we're ever going to get there, sweetheart.
You can't bail on me now, Nick. I mean...
Yeah. He's like, you look hideous. Also, fuck you. I'm breaking up with you and not going to see your family. And that's how this movie starts. And she's like, oh, shit. And so he basically just dumps her and is like, I don't want to see your family. That's like way too big of a move. We were just hooking up, blah, 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 that sort of thing.
Yeah, the needy thing, not a turn on.
I can't believe this. This is not happening.
Or not even hooking up. He's like kissed, I think, because it's like an ABC Family movie. He's like, we hadn't kissed yet, so I agreed to go see your family so we could kiss. And I'm like, all right, that's what we're doing for this family movie, I guess. Anyway, so after he breaks up with her, she immediately starts disassociating.
She snaps.
She snaps.
Like her everything around her, she just sees through it.
Yes. Like everything starts, like we get this like wobbly camera and like it starts like this very like disorienting kind of thing. And she snaps and she starts like freaking out. Because she doesn't know, like, she's all this pressure from her parents trying to get her to, like, and you could tell from the first phone call that her mom is, like, very overbearing.
Like,
and, like,
her objective throughout the entire first part of this film is, I can't look like a failure to my parents.
Yes, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, basically.
No husband, no grandchildren. My dad already thinks I'm a lesbian.
So you're using Nick to get your parents off your back?
Yes.
And so she snaps and she comes up with this plan because then Mario Lopez walks into the restaurant and he's meeting his girlfriend there.
Yes.
And he has a ring. He's going to propose
to her. Yes.
Yeah. But he walks in and he's very handsome because it's Mario Lopez. And she sees him and she immediately comes up with a plan and it is insane. We forgot to set this up. They set up the freaking what's the gun from the play? The playwright.
Tofsky's gun or something like that.
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
They set up Chekhov's gun. They mentioned that the store owner has like an antique little
from like when
pistol.
He would not keep his great-grandfather's gun here if he knew how close I come to killing him every day.
From the Indian Revolution. From 18-something.
Independence against like
Britain. Yeah, when they kicked Britain out of the country. And he has this pistol, this antique like little like muzzle-loading pistol.
Which is apparently loaded.
Yes, apparently loaded. She grabs it and she kidnaps Mario Lopez
with a flintlock.
With a flintlock pistol. She is like, and no, gun nerds, it might not be a flintlock.
Cap lock, whatever.
Whatever, who cares? But she pulls this thing out and she's like, he like walks out of the bathroom and she holds him up at gunpoint and it's like, you're coming with me. And he's like, what?
The hell is that?
It's a gun.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's a gun.
And I love, so she takes him out the back and he immediately slips and knocks himself.
I thought he was trying to turn around and land a haymaker.
Oh, is that what he does?
I don't know.
Maybe
it looked like he was going wide.
But
he totally slipped on the ice and bashed his head in.
He slips and knocks himself unconscious, which now he has a traumatic brain injury. Yes. So like he would be bleeding to death on the pavement.
The first thing she's like, and then she pulls pulls Mario Lopez into the car and ties him up. I'm like, you don't know if he's got a skull fracture or something.
Yes, but nah, it's a Christmas movie. He's fine.
Yeah.
So this is the big setup. This is the big premise you have to buy because it is absolutely absurd. She kidnaps a man at gunpoint and then takes him into her car and she ties him up with like stuff that she's crocheted or whatever. She has like knitted like scarves and stuff and ties him up in the car and she's gonna take him to her parents' cabin so that he can meet the family and pretend to be her boyfriend so that she doesn't seem like a failure who got dumped right before Christmas.
Brilliant strategy.
You're coming home with me to spend Christmas with my family as my boyfriend Nick, who unfortunately couldn't make it.
Brilliant plan. And the whole time I'm like, okay, what is possibly the plan here? Like, how does this possibly work? And we'll get to that in just a second. But I love that as they're driving, he's like, you won't shoot me. That thing's not even loaded. And it slips and she shoots a hole in between his legs. And I'm like, well, now it's not loaded. You're good, man. It's a single shot pistol. You're fine. But they get to she needs gas. So they get to a gas station. And this guy might be the best character in the movie. Well, no, sorry. The grandma is the best character in the movie, and we'll get to grandma.
Another character I wish we had more of, just because like her like snarkiness is perfect, is the best friend.
I wish the best friend was in the movie more because I love her and I want to marry her. But yes. Sorry, Katie. But yes.
She was fun. I like her.
Amazing. She's super interesting and like a very fun like sidekick friend character. But
I don't know what you have against him anyway.
I guess elitist jackasses aren't my type. They're not yours either.
We'll get more of her later. They the parking attendant or the gas attendant, she goes in to pay for the gas and get like some drinks and stuff. And the guy's like,
I usually pump the gas for the pretty ladies.
Oh,
Please, that's not necessary.
Well, you know, I gotta pump your gas. Let me pump gas for a beautiful lady. It's like one of the few privileges of my job or whatever. And she's like, please don't. And he comes out and sees Mario Lopez tied to the handle in the car or whatever, and with a gag and like blindfold on.
And he goes,
hey, you better come with me, young lady.
Oh, I really don't have time.
You need to come in here with me. And you think like, oh, he's gonna call the cops.
She goes inside, or he goes inside, and she's like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, so she hurries and fills up the tank.
Yeah, and then he comes out and he's carrying fuzzy sex handcuffs, and it's like, here you go, you can have a good weekend. I thought it was kind of funny.
He's like, lucky bastard.
Yeah, he does. He's like, son of a bitch.
Lucky little bastard.
So he thinks they're just up to, which is kind of what she implies when she's like, oh, you know, that's what we're into or whatever. But so yeah, he brings her some sexy handcuffs. Then they start driving again. And this is where they start talking and like learning a little bit about each other. And I love, and the movie actually does a good thing here because I thought it was very funny. She asked him about himself or something. And I don't know, but she like guesses his background. She's like,
You're some sort of a vice president of a company your father owns.
let me guess, you're some sort of vice president of a company your father owns. And he like doesn't respond until he's like, all right, I nailed that one. I'll take that as a yes. Mm-hmm. And that is how he comes across initially, but we'll get into it. He's more
to be fair,
than that,
most people don't leisurely go around in a blazer and tie.
Yeah, generally speaking. Mario Lopez very much looks like a trust fund child in this movie. So as they're driving more, though, I'm like, and he even says this to her, like, what possibly is your plan here?
This plan doesn't seem very well thought out.
Like, how do you think I'm going to go interact with your family for a weekend after you kidnapped me? And they will, like, how could this possibly work? And that was my question. I was like, how do you think this could possibly work? And obviously, that's the ridiculous premise of the movie.
And then she even goes, like, I haven't thought that far.
You know there's no way you're going to pull this off, right? What are you going to do, hold the gun on me during Christmas dinner?
Yeah, she's like, I don't know. I haven't thought that far. And she comes up with this plan. She gets there. And the plan she comes up with is she runs inside and leaves him in the car and goes, okay, guys, I brought my girlfriend, Nick, or whatever, like her actual, Nick was like the old boyfriend that broke up with her. She's like, I brought Nick. He does this thing when he meets new people. He gets nervous
and just starts making up like, I've been kidnapped.
He makes up stories and he'll like joke about how he's been kidnapped, but it's just him doing a bit or whatever. And they're like, okay. And this works on them.
Your daughter is a crazy, dangerous criminal.
Yes, she is.
He comes in and is like, hell, I've been your daughter kidnapped me and held me at gunpoint. Blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh my God.
What's the matter with you people? Are you all nuts?
All right, honey, that's enough.
It's the dumbest thing in the movie. You have to like accept that is reasonable, and it's not. It's ridiculous. It's completely absurd. And he also just gives up trying to explain.
Almost immediately.
Like immediately. He's like, well, I guess this is my life now. I don't know. Whatever.
Nick, have a seat. Come on.
Because, like, yeah, he pretty much just gives up trying to explain after one attempt. But whatever. That's the whole premise of the movie. Then later that night, so he, like, again, they don't believe him. And I think the rest of the family shows up and nobody believes him or whatever. And then he goes to bed that night and then he sneaks out and tries to escape. And this is where we get back to the beginning of the movie.
She's the mother who's like, I guess, the main organizer for everything. The cabin they rented.
Yeah.
They rented like this huge log cabin or whatever. She's giving everybody their rooms and whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I am 27 years old. I'm going to sleep in the same room as my boyfriend. End of story.
I'm going to sleep in the same room as my boyfriend, all right? And then they get bunk beds.
Yeah. She's like, I will sleep with my boyfriend in the room. I'm an adult. And then they're in bunk beds. It's a good joke. Yeah. Like, again, this movie is okay. It's, He tries to escape that night. He can't get anywhere because they're in the middle of nowhere. He tries to like walk, and he's like walking for an hour and doesn't get anywhere. So she finds him, brings him back to the.
Which I'm surprised he didn't freeze to death then, because like.
Yeah, he's just wearing like a simple coat, and it seems like it's like freezing in the middle of the tundra. But
there's snow everywhere.
Yeah, seems absurd. But he survives. She brings him back. And the next day, they also, that's the other premise, is that there's no phone service or anything up here, and their cell phones.
No, there's phones.
There's no, like, they don't have like a
there's no hard
landline
lines,
or anything like that. And their cell phones, they have a rule. The mom, I guess, has a rule.
Yes. They need family together time, so no cell phones.
The key master's got all the cell phones. Apparently, it interferes with our quality family time.
So no cell phones. So she gathers up all the cell phones and hides them somewhere or something like that. I think later we find out that it's in like a boar's head or something like that. It's very strange. But she's so they don't have cell phones, but there is one cell phone, and he sees Melissa Joan Hart using the phone. And the mom tells him about it, or I don't remember, but at some point she brings it in and he's like, give me the phone. Give me the cell phone. And they're like chasing each other around the kitchen trying to get it. And she takes it and sets it on the
She takes a meat tenderizer and just destroys it.
Destroys her own cell phone.
I was also like, oh, hang on, those are lithium batteries. You don't just hammer those things. Those explode.
Were they back then? I don't even know what the batteries were made of then, but probably, yeah.
I'm sure damaging a battery is not the safe thing to do.
Probably not.
In the arms of the angel.
But she destroys her phone just so that he can't call anybody. Then we move forward, and it's a little bit later in the day. Mario Lopez, again, he's also now dressed in the dad's like ridiculous golf clothes, or I don't know what he's wearing. But the mom is like freaking out because she forgot to bring olive oil with her.
No! I forgot the extra virgin olive oil.
And
this is the beginning of the mom's like.
Yes, the arc of like she is unhinged and
and then you're like, oh, this is where Melissa Joan Hart's character gets all her crazy.
Yes. Well, also the dad is also unhinged and not a good person.
Yeah, he's kind of insufferable.
You can paint or draw or color in your spare time. I am talking about your life here.
Then again, it is Timothy Bottoms.
I liked the direction this movie goes in the second half. We'll get there. But so she's like, he's like, hey, I can go get you olive oil or whatever. And Melissa Joan starts like, no, we can't leave. But then the dad offers to go with them. So the dad
gonna have male bonding time.
Yeah, the dad and Mario Lopez go to buy the olive oil, and they go to that stupid gas station.
Yes.
And the guy is there again, and he like again does not believe Mario Lopez when he's like, I've been kidnapped. Please let me use your phone. He's like, no, you're stupid. You're crazy.
Mister, you have to help me. I've been kidnapped.
Let me guess. By a sexy lady.
And then I think he assumes that the dad is gonna fuck Mario Lopez. I think with the olive oil. I don't know what's going on there.
Because
man.
like Timothy Bottoms' character is going, oh yeah, got the lady little lady at home. She just loves the olive oil, likes lathering it up on everything.
Yeah.
Like what does that statement mean?
Yeah.
Got a little woman at home, loves to have everything lathered up in oil.
Well, and then because then as they're standing there, the gas station attendant looks at him like, what's going on here? And I'm like, all right, this is weird.
At the end of the conversation, is like, that's the great thing about this weekend or whatever. No guilt.
Yeah.
Like, what a statement.
That's the best thing about the holidays. No guilt.
Yeah. Well, and then I love that the dad walks out to go get in the car, and Mario Lopez is like, let me use your phone. And the guy pulls out a shotgun. And then it's like, you can't use my phone. I'm like, okay, sure, great, fine.
He tries to roll over the car as they're driving back.
I'm going to turn the radio.
Oh, yeah, he tries to drive it off the road. And then again, another great comedy beat. The dad is like, I understand. You gotta just push through it. He thinks that Mario Lopez is trying to kill them because he like hates being in a relationship with Melissa Joan Hart. And he's like, look, we all go through that. You gotta
that's hilarious.
Oh, I know. Relationships can seem suffocating at times, but, it'll pass.
It's very funny. And again, is another moment that sets up the end of the movie, which is great. But yeah, he tries to kill them in the car. It doesn't work out. And then I love he gets he gets, I don't remember the exact setup for this, but he gets home and I think he's talking to the brother. I think he sees the brother. The brother has shown up at this point because there's a brother and sister.
Well, he's got to change clothes because he ripped the golf pants or whatever.
Right.
And so the brother's like, I got some stuff that you'll be able to fit
and then he sees that the brother has a cell phone after he changes. The brother has brought a cell phone.
I think he's like a stockbroker or something like that.
Yeah,
so
he
he's
says,
like, hey, I got it. Stocks never sleep.
Well, markets don't stop when I'm not there, Ma.
Yeah, so he has a phone, and so Mario Lopez is like, hey, can I borrow your phone? The guy's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he lets him borrow his phone, and Mario Lopez goes in the bathroom and calls his girlfriend. And first he gets his girlfriend's mom, who's like this insane rich lady, who's like trying to like grab her martini, and I love the help just keeps moving it away from her. And then she falls out. It's pretty funny, actually. But then he does get a hold of his girlfriend, whatever her name is.
And somehow gives her enough information to go off of. Whatever. None of that makes much sense.
No, but one of my favorite parts is that he goes,
I was going to propose.
Propose?
Go to the police and tell them what's happened.
Look, I'm sorry about you, because she's mad at him because she thought he bailed on her at the restaurant because he got kidnapped before she showed up, so she thought he just bailed. But he's like, no, look, I got kidnapped. I was going to propose. And there's actually a great she goes, propose, and when she says that, we cut to her, she turns and says propose, and we do this camera this super big camera push in dolly zoom on her. It's fantastic. There's a little bit of you could tell the director tried a little bit on this movie, which I thought was fun. And because on top of that, for a made-for-TV Christmas movie, it kind of looks okay. It's you know what I mean?
Oh, it's better than it's definitely better shot and executed at this point than that Christmas Rush film that Jim Kane one we did.
Yeah,
with, him and Eric Roberts.
Well, yeah, and even that one had a little charm to it. But this one compared to a modern Hallmark Christmas movie that's all just super flat and ugly.
This was also clearly shot over the course of 2 weeks, where a modern Hallmark film is shot in 3 days.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you there's actual light and contrast. You could tell they took time to light scenes in ways that are at least somewhat compelling. And again, we have some moments where there's a little bit of directorial charm and thought going on. It's a little ridiculous, but it's fine. Then as time moves on, Melissa Joan Hart's family actually starts to like Mario Lopez. He starts kind of ingratiating himself to him because he's a charming guy.
He also feels like, okay, finally, talk to my girlfriend. She's on her way to save me.
I just got to ride it out.
What I'm gonna do is
right,
be the greatest boyfriend on the planet,
so that the rug pulls even better.
When that rug pulls even better.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's going to be more satisfying for me when your family learns the truth about you.
He's like, I'm gonna be great. That way, when the cops show up, it's even more ridiculous. Or Melissa Joan Hart's even more humiliated, or whatever. So he starts being really nice, and they're all love him immediately. And Melissa Joan Hart gets really pissed off about that because her family sucks and they hate her. But they're immediately just in love with him.
I mean, to be fair, it is Mario Lopez.
Yeah, he's a very charming man.
I'm gonna be the best boyfriend ever, and your parents are gonna fall in love with me.
And then they that night they do they make Christmas lists is what it is, and maybe one of my favorite scenes.
God. Hilarious.
They're we got to do our Christmas lists, and this is the thing they always do. So they have a bottle of wine, just the two of them, and they make their Christmas list together.
And Oreos.
Yes, and Oreos, and this is where they start bonding. And they're going through a Christmas list, and he's like,
I'm gonna ask for a new, fully loaded SUV.
Oh, I want some sort of cooking thing or something. And then she's like, oh, I want this, end climate change or whatever.
I'm gonna ask for an end to global warming.
What, you think my list is superficial?
And then it goes to him, and he's like, I want a car or something.
Fully loaded SUV.
Yeah. And then it goes to her, and she says, I want to stop disappointing my parents.
What the hell?
What?
Stop disappointing my parents?
Just the most insane thing to put on a Christmas list.
Why would you write that?
Where I assume that list goes to the parents, right?
The mom would probably read it.
They're gonna read it and be like, "Oh Jesus!" I don't know. I just thought it was very funny that she writes, "Stop disappointing my parents" on her Christmas list. I was like, "How old are you?" That's like an 8-year-old thing to write on your Christmas list. I don't know. It's very funny.
When you were a kid, what was your biggest fantasy?
To have parents.
Whatever.
But then we cut back, and this is where you talked about earlier. The girlfriend goes to the police station.
Yes.
And she strolls in this police station in Wisconsin. And that's now that I know it's in Madison, Wisconsin, it actually makes more sense because they're all drunk. So, like, now knowing it takes place in Wisconsin, I'm like, no, that tracks now. That actually
goes in, tries to get the cops' attention. They're like, okay, buddy, she's all yours. The rest of us are going to go ahead and start getting hammered.
They're already hammered when she gets there, to be fair. They turn around and they send one asshole over who's like, fine. But yeah, it's great. Yeah, that totally makes sense, though. Then we cut back, and I love it. I think it's Christmas Day now, or maybe the day. Anyways, but it's like, because Grandma says it's like the last day, because Grandma is sitting there, and she's like pouring vodka into her coffee in the morning or whatever, and she's like, I got to get through one more day with you people.
I have to spend another entire day trapped with you yahoos. Mama's gonna need a little help.
This is really the first time she's had a moment, but she will quickly become my favorite character in this movie because every one of her lines is funnier than the last. It's incredible. But she's getting wasted so she can get through Christmas with her family. And this is where she keeps pointing out that she used to be on Broadway. She's like, I was on Broadway.
I was on Broadway once.
Which I thought was
a
great.
Former actress turned Midwestern.
And I think the actress playing this character is also like kind of a famous previous actress. Like I think she was from some stuff.
I saw she definitely has that like Betty White quality to her.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was like a prominent character actress in some like TV show or something like that. I'm trying to
definitely like back in the like 60s era or something like that.
Oh yeah, June Lockhart is the actress's name. Oh, she was in Lost in Space. She was like one of the main. That's like the main thing she was that she did. Yeah, she was.
I guess she'd be the mother.
She was Maureen Robinson. I'm not sure. Maureen. It looks like the wife. Yeah, like the mom.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Yeah. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
So she's great. She just wants to get drunk for the rest of the weekend. And then I love that they're going to go. She's like, the mom gives everybody plans for the day. She's like, all right.
Jake and Katie, you'll be on kitchen duty with me. Richard, you're chopping firewood. Mother, do whatever you want.
You guys are going to do this. You're going to do this. You guys, Mario Lopez.
Go chop wood.
Go outside. And And so as they're going outside, Mario Lopez is like checking out Melissa Joan Hart's sister who's doing yoga in the living room in jeans. Like
the jeans part's so weird.
Jeans and a Christmas
then
sweater.
Again, Brian, this is 2006. They didn't have yoga pants.
They didn't have yoga pants yet, Kyle. Holy shit, you're right. They had to do yoga in jeans. And she's doing Pilates. She'll mention later because she wants to open a Pilates studio. But he's like checking out her sister, which is literally just in the movie. I think like so we get a shot of his sister's butt.
Well,
like
it was just for the director to be like, all right, now go
bend
ahead.
over. Nice. How dare you? He directed Tremors, Kyle.
Yes, and there was a scene where the chick had to take off her pants in that too.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, fair enough.
wait, and checks.
All right, fair enough. But I love, so they go outside and they have like a little pond or whatever, and they're gonna play hockey. And one of my other favorite lines in the movie is they get down, they're gonna play hockey, and Melissa Joan Hart says to him as they're about to start,
"Do rich kids even play hockey?"
I played my fair share.
Do rich kids even play hockey? And I was like, yes, exclusively almost.
Hockey's very fucking expensive.
It is like one of the most rich kid sports there is. Like, what are you talking about? Yes, famously, rich kids do play hockey.
Like unless you live in Canada where it's government regulated.
Yeah. Unless you're forced to play it by the government because you grew up in Winnipeg, then yeah. It's a rich kid sport. At least in America, everybody I know who played hockey growing up had wealthy parents. I'll just say that because it's not a cheap sport to play. They have this. They play hockey for a little bit or whatever, and then as they're walking back to the house, we get maybe like legit the worst scene in the movie. Because it is like Mario Lopez explaining his backstory in the clunkiest exposition drop.
Did you catch that his character is basically fucking Batman?
They were both school teachers. They died in a car accident when I was 9.
Is he?
Almost.
I mean, he is an orphan, right? Or I think he says he was an orphan, yeah.
I mean, the only difference is that he comes from poor parents.
Yes, yeah. So he explains, like, because she was like, "Oh, you were like, oh, your dad owns the company and you're VP," and he's like, "Actually,
I lived with my grandfather in a one-bedroom apartment until I was 18."
I had poor parents and I grew up poor
They
and
died
I
in a
was
car
poor
wreck.
and I'm a self-made man and my parents died and I'm poor. And it's just like the most
Oh my God.
pitiful like exposition dump I've ever seen in a movie where it's like, all right, let's make this character likable in like 30 seconds.
Yep.
But Mario Lopez is kind of charming enough to make it work in this. Like it actually kind of works. And I was like, all right, fair enough.
But he was also like, well, you know, taught me some things when I was growing up. Taught me that all of us are alone.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus
All
Christ,
of us
dude.
are alone. We're so alone.
I learned at an early age that we're all on our own.
They walk in and they walk under the mistletoe and their family forces them to kiss. And they're like, yeah. Then one of my other favorite scenes in the movie that I think is legitimately funny, Melissa Joan Hart walks in on her mom folding her dad's underwear. And her mom is also having an existential
full-on mental breakdown.
And it's like,
Do you know that your father's the only man I have ever slept with? Have you slept with more than one man?
you know, I have only ever slept with one man, your father. And Melissa Joan Hart's like, okay. And she's like, I hope I don't regret that.
Jesus.
And she like asked Melissa Joan Hart how many people she slept with, and she's like, I'm leaving now. It's great. I love it.
You don't just pick one and hope for the best.
Then we get to the actual gifts. They're doing gifts later that day because it is Christmas time or Christmas Day, and so they're doing gifts. And right before they do gifts, we get this scene where Mario Lopez is going through something. He finds like a book, like,
of her artwork.
And this is the first time the movie has mentioned that she is
she's
an artist. Yeah.
Like,
And so we find out that her parents have been giving her shit for don't want her to be an artist, but we see her paintings, and the paintings he looks at are like legitimately interesting, good paint. You know what I mean? Like if that was your kid, you'd be like, yeah, go do art. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying they're like incredible, but they're good enough. You would be like, yeah, you should do art.
So some hoity-toity rich person could come by and be like, yes, I believe this will make me more cultured if I buy this.
Yeah, and I the idea here, yeah, exactly. But the idea here is that like her parents, like her dad wants her to like work in law or like go to law school because he's a lawyer or whatever. Yeah. And so like
it's the very fundamental principle with a lot of parents in these movies, which is I need my kids effectively to be financially stable enough to be able to be successful without me.
Yeah, and he thinks that like if she goes into art, she wouldn't whatever.
You can paint or draw or color in your spare time. I am talking about your life here.
At the end of the day, not a bad principle to have, but it's always applied on the very harsh strictness side of things.
And if your kid is as talented as she is, it's insane to be like
to not be like,
oh, maybe you could actually make money doing this. It's one thing if your kid's like a fuck up who does, sucks at art, but she seems legitimately very talented. Also, we'll find out later, like borderline Olympic level figure skater who also they just like fuck it.
Hey, hang on, borderline Olympic level figure skater who had a mental breakdown. Wait, who do we know who did that?
I don't know what you're talking about, Kyle. Anyway, so then we get to the actual gift giving, and they give each other gifts, and they're all like the shittiest gifts ever.
Yeah, they're great.
They all give each other just absolutely terrible gifts.
The husband gets like underwear, right?
Yeah.
And then they go to the mom, is like, oh, this is real heavy. What is this? Oh, it's a wrench set.
Yeah. It's a wrench set. It's great. But during this, something comes up where they start like giving Melissa Joan Hart shit about like being an artist or not, or about the job interview she missed or whatever.
You need to grow up and get focused on a legitimate career.
And Mario Lopez sees all this and he feels bad for her, so he decides to make a big splash.
The most insane. Okay, because if the whole point of this was to make an eventual rug pull.
It works both ways.
This is like sticking the fine china right underneath it.
Yeah, and he proposes to her in front of everybody because he still has the ring he had for his girlfriend. And he proposes to her in front of everybody, and they're like, oh my God. And yeah, I actually think it's kind of clever because it does work both ways. If it's just to like make her more humiliated when the police show up and all this gets revealed to be fake, it works in that regard. But also he feels bad for her and like wants to like build her up.
Defends her against her parents being like, you are a failure.
Would
a failure be proposed to
by Mario Lopez?
Look at my dimples.
Look at me.
So do you just carry an engagement ring in your pocket all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's kind of good. Then I love we get this conversation. Her brother, and I called this immediately when we go out and her brother's sitting in the garage drinking alone. I was like, he's gay. He's gay. He's secretly gay. And then he calls her out and they have a conversation. He's like, I'm gay.
Me and my girlfriend broke up like 6 months ago, and I'm seeing this guy now.
Yeah.
And I've started seeing someone else.
Shut up.
And his name is Ryan.
And she's like, oh, that's great, or whatever. And so like she's chill with it. And then he's like, I'm gonna tell the parents at dinner later or whatever.
Which the timing of all this, because this is like movie magic of just time going crazy. They got done. The presents opening was 4, and the dinner is at 7.
And they're like drinking in the garage for like hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a bunch of other stuff happens.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a lot happens.
Time just goes crazy.
Yeah. It's Christmas Day. It's the magic of Christmas, Kyle. Time expands. Anyways, Mario Lopez notices that all the phones and the keys are like, he sees them on the floor, and this is where they got like
grandma's booking it to the car. She found her keys.
He's going to the car and he chases after her and he gets in the car with her and she's like,
you want to come along for the ride, Rosebud?
You want to come with me? I'm going to the city so I can get a decent steak and a cognac. And I was like, this lady's amazing.
I'm going back to the city to get a decent steak and a cognac.
She's amazing.
Oh, of course, being the old lady she is, she whips it into reverse and backs into a tree.
Yeah, and just immediately crashes and they have to bring her back inside or whatever. And then we cut back, and I love we get this scene where the police knock on her Melissa Joan Hart's friend's apartment from the restaurant.
God, this is
weird. And she's standing there in like a little like Christmas dress thing or whatever, and then her boyfriend pops up behind her.
Hey, you got one more gift to open.
And he's just got like a bow over his crotch or whatever. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But they're like questioning them about like, do you know where she took them and that sort of thing.
My favorite part of that whole scene is the boyfriend is like right next to her, like like taking a drink or something. And she says, "It's not her fault, all right. Men just drive women crazy." And she puts a coaster
under her drink. Yeah, it's good.
They drive women crazy.
Anyways, yeah, I love her friend. She's fantastic. But then, and again, as you mentioned, so many things happen. Mario Lopez then also takes a shower in between gift giving and dinner time, and Melissa Joan Hart walks into the bathroom.
Clearly was not meant for all the women in the audience.
I was like, I understand why wine moms would like this movie, Kyle. I get it.
Oh, God.
But she walks in on shirtless Mario Lopez in a very steamy bathroom, and they kind of share a moment.
I just needed the toothpaste.
And then she gets dressed for dinner, and her dress and hair is so painfully 2005. It is like absurd. Like Mario Lopez is wearing a suit, whatever, but her wardrobe has very aged very specifically. And then so they get to dinner. Oh no! Right before dinner, because then they go figure skating. I forgot about
again.
That's awesome.
Time. The time
so many
is
things
so
happen.
yes.
I forgot.
Earlier, she talked about her best Christmas was her parents like icing down the patio or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and then set up a bunch of lights, and she did her figure skating.
Routine there.
That Christmas Eve, I skated my little routine with my parents watching.
And Mario Lopez apparently just found a way to get the hose out and water down.
Well, I think it's the pond from earlier that they were playing hockey on. I think there's like a pond or something. Yeah.
I guess he just.
But I don't know where he got all the Christmas lights from, because he sets up like hundreds of Christmas lights everywhere around this gazebo, and he turns the lights on. He's like, "Oh, put the skates on and make." And she's like, "I am wearing a dress. We're about to eat dinner." And he's like, "Skate for me."
You will skate now.
And so she starts skating.
So we get a nice. Stunt double.
And like I said, she's like clearly like almost an Olympic level figure skater. She's doing the thing where she spins really fast. I'm like, okay, how are you this good at everything? What's going on here? It's so good. And this is at the point though where like he did this. I was like, okay, I understand why this has a. So I said, hey, when I was like, are you sure you want to do this? It has a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. I looked. It's not a critic score. It has no critic reviews on Auto, but it has a 64%. Audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like, I understand why, because like as I said a few seconds ago, this is like the ultimate wine mom Christmas movie. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Like it is this like lady who's like dumped on by her parents for being not good enough, and then Mario Lopez shows up is shirtless and steamy and convinces her that she should follow her dreams as an artist and figure skater. And I was like, yeah, I get it.
It was more excuses for Mario Lopez to take his shirt off.
So you managed to get your shirt off.
Yeah, he's only shirtless once in the movie, which is honestly impressive. I'm surprised they didn't figure out other situations to make that happen. But then we get to so she skates, and it's a very sweet moment. And then we get to dinner, and they're having their Christmas dinner, and everybody's going around the table, and they all have confessions to make. And the other daughter starts first, and is like, I dropped out of law school.
I'm not going to law school. I opened a Pilates. I took your tuition money and committed fraud with it.
I used it as a down payment.
Down payment? On what?
On a Pilates studio in California.
I'm opening a Pilates studio in California, and her dad starts freaking out because he like desperately wanted her to go to law school and be a lawyer like him or whatever. Or I don't even know if he's a lawyer, but whatever. And then so she does that, and then the son is like, oh, by the way, I'm gay. And the mom's like, I know. Which I thought was great.
I'm gay.
Oh, honey, I know.
It would be great if everybody was in it, like arguing and stuff like that in conversation. The son's like, I'm gay, and everybody's like, yeah, we know. And then they just go right back.
All yell, we know. Yeah, it'd be great. But anyway, so and then my favorite, because then that happens, and then the parents explode, and this is like the big moment where I realize that all of the dysfunction with the children and all the stuff they've struggled with is all really just a result of these two parents having a completely fucked up relationship where they don't talk to each other and they hate each other and they have a horrible relationship because the mom snaps, and it has maybe my favorite line in the movie.
Oh boy.
Where she snaps at the dinner table. And he's like,
we all live in your world, Catherine.
Oh, we're all just living in your world, aren't we? Whatever her name is. And she responds,
I wouldn't have to picture Clint Eastwood just to get through our annual birthday sex.
If this was my world, I wouldn't have to picture Clint Eastwood just to get through our annual birthday sex. It's so good. It's the most boomer of humor, but it's kind of funny.
Which is kind of hilarious. I think that like one or two films, him and Tim Bottoms and Clint Eastwood were in together back in the day.
But yeah, it has some legitimately funny moments. So they're all freaking out and arguing and blah, blah, blah. And then
the cops bust in, guns pointed everywhere.
And then my other favorite moment in the entire movie, Kyle.
Grandma becomes Grambo, as later stated.
She comes bursting in holding the flintlock pistol and a mug full of like the booze in the other hand, and she yells at him,
I don't know who brought home the bacon, but I'm gonna fry it up in a pan.
I don't know who brought home the bacon, but I'm gonna fry it up in a pan. And she's holding the police at gunpoint with a flintlock pistol. I was like, let's go. I love it so much. Oh, and then she like her brother or the brother walks over to like, Grandma, stop. And she goes, you take the big one. She's ready to throw down. Jesus. I love her so much. It's so funny.
You take the big one.
Dolores.
So they all get arrested and taken to jail.
Now, I don't know exactly why they all got arrested.
For
effectively the only two. Well,
I assume the idea is that like, well, there's a kidnapped man here. You're all involved.
Yeah,
somehow.
I guess they need to figure out. They need to suss out what's what.
Yeah, like who's involved or whatever. So they're all being held and whatever. But then he doesn't press charges, so they all get released.
Poor schmuck didn't press charges.
I'm not sure that's exactly how that works.
I don't know if that's how that works, but they say he didn't press charges, so it's all good.
And the one person who doesn't get out is Grandma, because you don't point a weapon at a cop.
Not you, Grambo.
My officer. What did you have in mind?
Also implied maybe she's gonna fuck the cop. Who knows?
Was weird. That was so weird.
Who knows? I don't know. It's great though. She's the best character. And then Mario Lopez starts regretting, like he's planning his wedding with his girlfriend who sucks.
His Stockholm syndrome setting.
Or he's realizing that his old girlfriend sucks ass.
That's what the real premise is, yeah.
To be fair, she does suck. She's kind of awful. But they're planning their wedding, and he realizes, I'm not really into this or whatever.
What font do you want? It's like, look, I'm a guy. Whatever font works. If it's legible, it works.
Do you like that font? David.
I designed all of this stuff.
Oh my God.
Kyle. Well, all of the
oh god,
I do design. That's what I do. So whatever. I don't do design, but I can. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But So then we find out that she's gonna pursue her art job, and she actually gets invited to an art gallery showing for like new artists or whatever. And her brother's gonna be there. She's talking to her brother about it. Her brother's gonna be there, but she doesn't want her family there because they suck. But he secretly tells them, he tells them, and they all show up and they apologize, and we find out, and again, great ending. Her parents are in therapy together and they're like working through their issues. I was like, all right, movie, this is a good ending.
They've been in therapy.
It really is working.
And so they like apologize and are talking to her. It's wildly unrealistic because they're just like instantly nicer, better people like overnight.
Yeah, I mean, what about this movie is realistic?
Yeah, but whatever, it's fine. And like I actually think it's kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Completely missing the art piece that is being exhibited is actually really nice.
It's fairly good, yeah. I think actually some of her other stuff was more interesting than this one. This one I think if I'm going to put my art criticism hat on, it's a little trite, but
it's a little trite. But it's a post-impressionist. Basically painting of her doing her figure skating routine
with like all the lights
with the gazebo and the lights and everything.
Yeah, it's fine. Again, some of her other stuff I thought was more compelling, and this one's maybe a little like boring.
It's got a Starry Night look to it.
Yeah, it does. You can tell that's what they're going for. It's not bad. It's just I don't think it's as brave as some of her other pieces, Kyle. That's all I'm saying.
Brave. Look, it's a blue line vertically down the painting. Oh, so incredible.
No, some of her other stuff, she does these really interesting portraits and stuff of people that look really kind of interesting.
Yeah,
and then this one's just like this one looks like mall art,
Picasso
or like hotel art,
Picasso like inner reflection type stuff.
Yeah, and again, this one I'm like, it's fine, but somebody buys it, and so they get to the end of the night. Her mom walks over, and it's kind of a nice shot, like she's sitting there framed against the wall, and you see the painting missing. And her mom walks and sits in, and it's kind of nicely shot. And she's like, "It's sold," and I'm like, "Oh, this is nice. This is sweet." Yeah,
Money.
and so what?
Money.
Yeah. So her art piece sold. And I was like, it's happening, Kyle. This is a perfectly delightful Christmas movie. I don't know what's happening. It's not good, but it's perfectly delightful. And then, because I actually kind of really like the premise of this insane kidnapping being this like event that makes them all realize how fucked up all their lives are. Like Melissa Joan Hart does this insane thing, but then it kind of reveals that all of their lives are fucked up because of, like, yes, Melissa Joan Hart made this insane decision, but she did it because you all have fucked up lives and have fucked up each other's lives. I think it kind of works or whatever. But anyways, her mom is like, look, it's never too late to follow your dreams. That's what me and your father have been doing by going to therapy. We're like reconnecting and all that sort of stuff.
If there's one thing I know, it's the corrosive nature of silence.
She's like, it's never too late. And she goes, actually, Mom, it is, because Dean Cain, Mario Lopez got married today. And she's like, he got married today. And she's like, oh, okay. And then as she's going out to her car later, like to leave that night, she gets grabbed.
Yeah,
she gets kidnapped. Oh, it's full circle, Kyle.
Handcuffs.
How cute. And he takes her to
awkwardly comfortable handcuffs.
Yes. He takes her to this gallery that he has set up that has lights everywhere. And he's like, look, I'm going to do what I want for my career and not like do whatever stupid corporate bullshit he was doing. He's like, I'm opening this art gallery.
Martin Art and Architecture. Gallery and studio.
And the first piece is and he bought her piece, which actually to me kind of sucks, because I'm like, oh, I thought somebody like that I don't know liked my piece and bought it, but like the fact that it's just you did it because like as a gesture of your, it's like that's not really whatever, fine. But he bought her piece, and he's and he like they kiss and happy they're together. He didn't get married, right? Like I think he didn't get married. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he got married and then comes in and it's like kissing her afterwards. I'm pretty sure. And they're going to be together. And I will say there's a pretty great bad movie moment at the very end here. The camera pulls back after they kiss. The camera pulls back away from the building. And we see them like lit up on the top floor of this little building in, I assume, Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, somewhere.
but it's like frozen. It's like a still image of them like hugging.
Because they needed to basically do a tracking shot.
Yeah, so they composited it in, but they didn't composite video. It's just a still because they just don't move the whole time. And like it kind of works, but it still looks kind of crappy. But Kyle, guess what?
Brian's just going to go, it's good.
It's not good. But it almost is. I will go to bat. Every Christmas movie we've ever watched on this show, it's by far the best in my opinion. It's not even close. Now that's a low bar because most
even better than Deck the Halls.
Oh God, yes. Deck the Halls is deeply upsetting in so many ways. This movie has nothing like that. This movie overall is fairly wholesome, fairly cute, and the performances are fairly good. It's all centered around the most unhinged, insane like premise in the first 15 minutes that you have to just like accept. But once you do that, drink some wine with your aunt and have a few laughs. It'll be a good time.
Learn some things.
Yeah, I think it's fine,
yeah,
Kyle.
If we were to give it a nice, we would say good bad, but like a good.
Yeah, exactly. A very sturdy but it's fine. It's fine. That's going to do it for this episode. As always, you can just join favor by heading over to patreon.com/GBorBB. Support us there. Get access to bonus stuff, bonus content, early access, all that kind of good stuff. You can buy some merch. Head over to tpublic.com. Search for the links for all of this are in the description.
One of our awesome quantum physics shirts.
There you go. And we have just have the regular like Good Bad or Bad Bad logo and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to get some merch, you can go do that there. I have a podcast called This Film Is That we're talking about movies that are based on books. When this episode, our most recent episode, will have been, I think, A Little Princess, maybe?
I have no clue what that is.
So did you ever see The Secret Garden? Or The Secret Garden? The same author, like the person who wrote The Secret Garden wrote A Little Princess. A Little Princess, the film, though, directed by Alfonso Cuarón. Which is really interesting. Also filmed the cinematographer, Emmanuel Lubezki. So it's a kids movie that they made for like, not Disney, Warner Brothers, I think, like in 1995. It's like a kids movie about like a little girl whose dad is in the war and he dies or something. And she's like in an orphanage.
I knew that most of those stories involved like around massive amounts of tragedy with children.
Yes.
And then being like, look, you found a world of escapism.
Yes, it is that. But so it's one of those kind of kids movies. But the thing that's crazy, it's shot by Emmanuel Lubezki, who is the cinematographer who, one, works with Cuarón a lot, but also has filmed, like, he shot The Revenant, Birdman. He's like one of the greatest working modern cinematographers. He does all of Gravity, like all of Cuarón's, like, Children of Men. He shot Children of Men. Incredible cinematographer.
So I know exactly. This guy is a absolute master at getting a camera as close to the actors as possible with them still being able to perform.
Yeah, I mean, among other things, yes. And just incredible. Yeah. I've watched the trailer for this movie, and I think I saw it when I was a little kid.
That chase scene in Children of Men is incredible.
Well, and if you ever watched the behind the scenes for that, though, how they did that with the like camera rig in the middle of the car, and the whole crew was sitting like on the roof of the car or something insane, nuts. Like it's crazy. But the cinematography in this movie looks beautiful. Lots of like snow and like light, low light and shadows and all kinds of stuff. It looks very cool. So if not that, then one of our Christmas episodes, I'm not even legitimately not sure what we're I think we're doing the Christmas shoes. That'll be like a good bad episode, a good bad or bad episode, because that movie supposedly sucks. Katie is doing it as like a hate read. She was like, I hate the Christmas song and I hate this story, but we're gonna do it anyway. So it might be that one. I don't know. Anyways, that's that. I think that's it.
That's a nice tangent.
We had to pad it out a little bit because the episode was kind of short. So that's going to do it until just a couple days from now. Hopefully, you'll be watching our second Christmas episode. We're not going to spoil what that is.
Needless to say, we got some good, bad, or bad, love.
That is a return to form. This movie, while this movie was, charming and kind of just good, this next movie...
It's all the stuff you love.
Absolutely not. So join us back in just a couple days for our second Christmas special. Until then, keep watching movies.
Especially,
like I said,
in Brian's case in particular, Holiday in Handcuffs.
Sit down with your aunt who likes to drink wine a little too much. Put on Holiday in Handcuffs, and you guys will have a great time. I'm telling you, a great time. You'll laugh. You'll admire Mario Lopez.
Or if you're just a fan of like 90s sitcoms and you're like, hey, I know those people.
Also that. Bye.